This program airs statewide on California Public Television and is a California's Gold classic. You know, a lot of California is desert, wide open spaces filled with natural beauty and human history. I never get tired of visiting our deserts because there's always something new and interesting and overwhelming to see. And when you visit the desert, everything out here seems to take on a bigger-than-life scale. Now, right now, we are at a wind farm in the Palm Springs area, and look at the size of these wind turbines. They're huge. They're over 120 feet tall. The diameter of the blade is over half a football field. And these turbines, these wind turbines, are really the future of energy here in our state. They're clean, they're pollution-free, they are using natural resources without depleting them. They operate on the wind, and in the future, more and more of our electrical power is going to come from these huge wind farms, which of course are located in our desert. Now, we'd love to spend more time here just standing here looking at these beautiful big old turbines, but we've got two other places to go. We've got two other big things to see here in the desert. And if you're curious as to where we're going to go and what big things we're going to see, as always, you're invited to come on along with us as we continue our search together in the desert for big pieces of California's gold. Boy, you talk about something that says California desert. The famous old 20 Mule team is it. For years, they hauled wagons filled with borax across Death Valley and became legendary. Well, today the mules are gone, but borax is still being mined near the little town of Boron in the Mojave Desert. The facilities these days are modern, and it was here we traveled to see firsthand some really big things. Well, here we are. This is a very interesting shot right here. We're seeing, well, our viewers are seeing the backside of the 20 Mule team, the famous borax 20 Mule team. You've got it set up out here in Boron. And Bob, these mules and these wagons really kind of became the trademark of borax, didn't they?
Oh, they are the trademark of borax. For 5 or 10 years out of our 125-year history, they're what people know of borax, 20 Mule team.
Well, it's a good image. It kind of evokes that image of the Old West and Death Valley and all of that. And here, this is very interesting. These are the original borax wagons.
These are one of the original sets. These are some of the old wagons we've kept around. They haul, in that 5 or 10 year period, pulled out maybe 10,000 tons of borax, and we do almost that in a day now.
Really?
Right.
But they were big for their time, and they hauled a lot of ore across a lot of God-forsaken country in their day, didn't they?
That's right. 20 or 30 tons from Death Valley over to Mojave was quite a haul in that period.
And how long would it take them to get across? Well, what was this? Was this the water wagon? What was it?
That was the water for the mules, as well as the skinners. And it would take them 10 days, roughly, to get from Death Valley to Mojave.
And you better hope that you didn't run out of water.
You don't want to run out of water in Death Valley, you know.
All right, now these big wagons kind of tie in to the reason we're here today. We don't want to give that away yet. Our program, our adventure, is about big things in the desert. These are definitely big wagons, but there's something bigger here yet to see. Before we get to that, we want to point out this beautiful new visitor center up here, which really kind of tells the borax story to anybody who wants to come up here and experience it.
That's right. We're proud of it. It's a nice visitor center. It's a place where we can introduce people to mining, the history of mining through borax's eyes, and educate the population, the children, on mining in the California desert.
Okay, Bob, we have now left the visitor center, and we've driven about, what'd you say, a quarter of a mile, a half a mile?
Yeah, that's about right.
We're down at
We're at the edge of the mine here. This is where it happens.
And boy, if this isn't the edge of the mine, I don't know what is. This is absolutely spectacular.
Quite a sight, quite a sight.
And you have brought us down here to kind of pass the baton to...
You bet. This is John Barnes. Hi, John. Mine manager here.
Hi, Huell. How are you?
This is what you manage.
This is it. This is the big hole, Huell.
Well, tell us a little bit about this big hole.
Well, this hole was originally started in 1927, and essentially we have a water tower over there, and that was the old underground workings. That's where it started. We operated underground in 1927 all the way to 1957, and then in 1957, with the advent of the large equipment, we went to a surface mine, and that's what we have today.
So it used to be all mine shafts down in here.
All mine shafts, that's right.
Now it's all opened up into one big pit.
That's right. And we're looking in the direction off to the east here. We're about 1.5 miles across here, Huell, and when we're finished in about 40 years, it's going to be about double that. It'll be about 3 miles.
Wow.
Left to right, our direction there is just a little less than a mile. It's about 3/4 of a mile, and that will double. So it'll be like a big kidney bean when it's all finished.
You know, it's hard to get a sense of perspective here.
It certainly is. Our depth right now, we're standing the lowest point in the pit. Well, we'll go down, and our adventure actually starts, Huell, is 650 feet below us. And
so you're going to take us down into the bottom of the pit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because see, this adventure is called Big Things in the Desert. And a lot of people, when they see us standing here by this big pit, are going to think this is it. But this isn't the big thing that we are looking for, is it?
This isn't it. We're going to go down there and we'll show you some big items down below.
Some even bigger things. Well, not bigger than this, but some big things down
in the bottom of the mine. That's
down
right.
in the bottom of the mine.
Well, let's go.
We're off. Okay, now we've done it. You've brought us 650 feet down. We are at the bottom of the pit, and we're talking now about a continuation of the borax story, right?
That's right, and Bob showed you up on the surface. That was a 20 mule team. Now what we're going to see is the new borax 20 mule team hauler. It's one of our cat haul trucks here. It has a payload of 190 tons.
Oh my gosh, look at the size.
Take a look at that. What we have on these, Huell, is an 1,800 horsepower engine that hauls this. That's about 10 times the amount that we have in our car that we run.
Look at this. I don't even know what to ask next. My mind is...
Let's talk about the dimensions a little bit, Huell. This thing is about 2 stories high, 2 stories wide, and about as long as a city bus. And what we haul out of here is 190 tons. We haul enough production up for a day with these big cat haul trucks.
Can we walk up here?
Sure, let's walk in here a little bit.
Oh my God.
You get a good feel for the size of these things in here, can't you? Look at that suspension that we have on there. Look how big that is. You know, we were talking about these tires, Huell. These tires cost $15,000 a piece, and they only last us a year. Total cost for one of these units is about $1.6 million.
Louis, look at this fan belt going in here.
Yeah, it's a big one. These engines, these big trucks are driven by 1,800 horsepower engines in here, which is about 10 times the amount of what we have on the streets today.
So we are standing under the truck, and we're not even halfway up to the side of the tire.
That's right.
Look at this. I mean, when you walk, the size of the hubcaps. What is this?
That's our fuel tank.
A lot of fuel.
A lot of fuel, about a little over 800 gallons of diesel fuel in these, Huell.
Good grief. And underneath just looking up here underneath this thing. Well, it's one thing to look at these big trucks. It's another to actually ride in one. And that's exactly what the good people at Borax invited me to do, as I climbed aboard way up for the ride of my life. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's a little soft in here. That's okay. And you just ease out so you don't drop any boulders.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's just a big old dump truck. It's really actually not too hard to drive because it's got a lot of conveniences to the braking system, and the steering's really easy, and you'll be surprised the turning radius on this.
Now, the truth of the matter is, how hard is it to learn how to drive one of these trucks?
Well, actually, once you get used to the width and get the basics down on backing underneath the shovels and skips, through time and a little practice, you get it down. It's almost like driving a car.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm serious. Well, then again, I've been driving for a while, so I guess it gets second nature after a while.
See, I mean, this is so big. We're so high up now.
Yeah, these trucks are about 19 feet tall. I think it's a 11-step ladder you have to come up. And it's like driving a little apartment building.
It's quiet in here, but it's loud outside.
Oh yeah, if we put these windows down, we'd have to have earplugs in because it's very noisy. You got some big trucks.
Put the mic out the window. And here comes another one. We're passing by a truck right now, and this road is big enough for both of you to pass with plenty of room to spare.
True enough. Well, we have to have a constant flow to the shovel to keep the shovel trucked at all times so we can get the ore out.
So as the sun set on that huge open pit mine, there I was, happy as a clam, riding 2 stories high in the biggest truck I'd ever seen. A truck that was carrying on a tradition of transporting borax. A tradition started years ago by the good old 20-mule team. Just getting to our next big thing in the desert was an adventure. To say we were heading for a remote destination was an understatement, because we were flying over some wide open spaces. Our destination was Goldstone, which is located about 40 miles from Barstow. After we landed, met our welcoming committee, and walked around Goldstone International Airport for a while, we were off by van through some more seemingly deserted desert. But you know what? As we were driving, we quickly discovered this part of the Mojave is spacey.
10, 9, we have a go for main engine start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition and liftoff of Atlantis and the Galileo spacecraft bound for Jupiter.
When America goes into space with projects like Galileo and Voyager to gather scientific data from faraway places like Jupiter and Venus and Mars, places hundreds of millions of miles away, there's a direct connection with Goldstone in California's Mojave Desert. Because Goldstone is the location of NASA's Deep Space Network, a network of antennas that both transmits commands to these distant spacecraft and receives images and other vital information sent back to Earth from them. And how is all this made possible? Well, the answer is found in these huge antenna tracking stations, which have been scattered through the desert around Goldstone since 1957. Huge space dishes, if you will. All of this managed and directed for NASA by California's own Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The good people at JPL invited us to visit their big Goldstone dishes, an adventure that turned out to be not only informative, but literally overwhelming as well. Okay, now we're heading for a big antenna over here. Tell us where you're taking us.
Okay, this is what we call Deep Space Station number 26. Each of our antennas has a number just to help us identify it and talk about it. This is another one of the 34-meter beam waveguide antennas. You can tell it's not tracking right now because it's pointing straight up in what we call our stow position.
Oh, okay, so if they're straight up, they're not working.
That's right, and this antenna is not scheduled to track any spacecraft right now, so it's available to us to go ahead and climb on it and give you an idea of exactly how big the structure really is.
So you're going to let us climb on this thing?
That's right. We'll take you all the way into the dish if you'd like.
Now see, as we're walking toward it, it's looking bigger and bigger. These things really are deceiving out here in the desert, aren't they?
They really are. You don't get the scale of them until you're really at the bottom looking up and you realize how sore your neck gets from craning it and looking straight up at it.
Oh my gosh, look at this. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, it's kind of exciting to come out here. I've been out here, you know, for years working on these things, building these things, and I still get a thrill every time I come out and climb on one of them and realize, you know, that these are a real important link for NASA's main mission of the robotic exploration of the solar system.
There are birds up there.
Oh yeah, they're actually a maintenance problem for us to keep our antennas clean.
Really, they like to
Nest up there.
nest up here. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Here we go, Jeff. And what is this one called?
This is what's known as Deep Space Station number 26.
Deep Space Station number 26. Boy, this is
You got to be in shape to climb these antennas regularly.
there's a lot of steel here. These are solid.
We have about, on an antenna this size, about 1 million pounds of steel.
And we're not even at the base of the antenna yet.
Now, right now we're at what we call the elevation drive level. These are the motors right here that turn the dish up and down.
Oh, look.
At this level right here, we're about 55 feet above the ground.
Boy, it really gives you a shot of what's here, too.
Gives you an idea of how empty the Goldstone area really is here. You see our antennas here. Often to the right here would be the Fort Irwin, the Army's Desert Training Center. Off over those hills over there would be the China Lake Naval Weapons Center. But it's pretty empty right around here, and we like it that way because it's a lot quieter in the terms of radio interference for us to go ahead and listen to our deep spacecraft from this position.
So really, you've got this place pretty much to yourself out here.
It's pretty empty out here, and sometimes when you're driving in the middle of the night on the way back from here, you feel like you're the only one around.
We're right under the dish right now, aren't
That's
we?
right. We're at the level that we call the elevation bearing. This is where everything above here tips over.
It's not going to tip while we're in it, is it?
No, no, no. They're quite
Oh,
aware
wait
we're
a minute.
here.
We're going up.
We've got 2 ladders still to climb.
All right. They didn't tell me this when we started. This is great. This is definitely a first, I'll tell you that much.
You have to watch your head here. We got some low clearances. All right, Huell, coming up the last ladder here. Be ready to see how wide this dish really is.
Oh, oh, wow. Look at this. Oh my gosh.
This dish here is 34 meters from edge to edge. That's about 112 feet or so.
Now, is it all right for us to be walking on this thing?
Yeah, these are very specially made panels that are very specially shaped, made from a bonded aluminum material that is designed to support the weight of people walking on it if need be.
How far out can we go?
I
don't want this thing to...
It sort of depends on how safe you feel, because as you
Well, I
notice,
don't feel very safe.
The whole surface is shaped. You start climbing out, you'll start sliding back a little bit. That's sort of an indication that you don't want to go any further than that.
Now, the question I must ask, and it may be a little late to ask it, we're not becoming sterilized right now, are we? I mean,
no, we're not. This antenna right now is not transmitting. It's not have any radio frequency interference or any problems like that.
But what if it was on?
There are special safety guidelines that we follow to make sure that people are not up here at that case, just so we don't put people at risk like that.
So there would be
lights warning us to stay away. We have all sorts of procedures to keep people off this antenna while we're transmitting out of it.
I don't see any kind of technical looking stuff here.
The idea
I just see a lot of aluminum.
Well, the idea behind this is it's just a giant reflector. It's collecting all of the radio waves that are hitting it and focusing it up at the subreflector up above us. And from there, the focus beam then goes right down the center tube here, down to the electronics that's in the big basement below this.
Oh, this is...
What you're seeing above ground on this antenna is only about half this antenna. That's just the steel above ground. There's a big concrete pedestal below here that houses all the electronics for this antenna.
You know, I'm tempted to climb up to the edge, but I don't think... I think that's kind of...
It can be done, but you got to be very careful on it.
Because we're at a pretty good incline here.
That's right. It's a parabolic shape for this dish. That's what helps us focus all the radio frequency all in one point up there. It's got to be a very specific shape, and in fact, each row of panels that you're walking on here, each row has a very unique shape to it. It's specifically designed for that position, and these panels wouldn't work in any of the other positions.
And we're not denting them or making a difference in...
Nope.
Because I don't want our trip out here to hurt our deep space program.
We have to get up on these dishes for maintenance at various times, so they're designed to go ahead and support a man.
Gosh. Well, it's pretty neat up here.
Also gets a little warm because not only does this reflect radio frequency, it reflects light and heat as well. And
yeah, so, it's like we're under a giant sun reflector right now. It's hot enough in the desert without this. Now these are perforated out on the edge.
That's right. That's designed so that when this is tipped over and it gets caught in a strong wind, the wind goes through the outer panels and it doesn't push the antenna around as much, because these things have to point very precisely at the spacecraft that we're tracking. We don't want them moving around in strong winds, and as you know, out in the California desert, at times you get very strong winds.
Well, we're just kind of walking around, but it took us so long to get here. I don't want to leave until I've kind of gotten a feel for the place.
Take your time.
Well, this one's out of service for the day, just because there's nothing going on, right?
That's right. This antenna actually is one where we had the money to build the structure of the antenna earlier than we had the money to do all the electronics to make it operational. So we're just installing the electronics onto this antenna right now.
I'm just standing here looking at this. This is a very surreal kind of a... I mean, we're standing inside a deep space antenna. Now, Jeff, I'm excited. Are you jaded by all of this, or do you still have any kind of a rush when you walk inside of this like this?
I still enjoy coming out here and doing it. I enjoy seeing other people's reaction to it. It makes the type of work I do feel a little bit more worthwhile to know that it really is exciting.
You knew I was going to like this, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
Well, this is something. I thought that our walk through Deep Space Station 26 was exciting. But you fellas have just been toying with us. You've just been playing with us this morning, haven't you?
Well, you did say that you wanted to see something really big in the desert, and frankly, this is about as big as we can show you right now.
Look at this. This is amazing. And to show you how big this one is, Louis, there's one the size that we were in earlier today. And Jeff, that's just a little pipsqueak.
The total area on that antenna is only about a quarter as much of the size of the dish here on this one. This one here is called DSS-14, or Deep Space Station 14.
Well, why didn't you take us to this one?
Well, as you can see right now, it's actually actively tracking a spacecraft right now. It's tracking the Galileo spacecraft that's out at Jupiter right now and is gathering very important scientific data, images and other type of information that the spacecraft is sending back. And frankly, as much as we enjoy having you out here today, it was determined that actually gathering all that data is really still a very important part of our job here, and we had to go ahead and let them get that information today.
So you're saying that the Galileo program is more important than shutting it all down for California's goal today?
Unfortunately, the priorities have to be set somewhere, yes.
Dodd, how big is this thing? Well, I don't even know whether the camera can give us the, I mean, this thing is just humongous.
Yes, it is. One thing that may be easy for people to understand is the surface area of the dish we're looking at is over an acre. So maybe people can visualize that perhaps. When the antenna is straight up, such as DSS-15 is right now, the top of that is over 250 feet tall. Wow. So it gives some idea of the size.
Jeff, what is this doing right now? Now, this is sending messages or
Right now,
receiving from how far out in space?
It's doing both right now. It is sending up commands to the Galileo spacecraft as well as receiving data at the same time back. And as I said, it's coming basically from Jupiter right now.
And how far away is that?
Oh,
are we
right
talking
offhand,
billions?
We're probably talking about 1 billion miles right now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the exact distance is right now, but this antenna also will be used to talk with the Voyager spacecraft, which are the most furthest man-made objects right now. Voyager 1 is traveled more than 7.5 billion miles since it was launched over 20 years ago.
So this is communicating with something 7.5 billion miles away.
Not right at the moment, but it is used for that, yes.
Now, to demonstrate just how big this dish is, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of us standing here in front of it. If you look real carefully, you can see us at the very bottom of the screen. Everybody wave. We probably look like little desert ants down here, but we're standing in front of a very big dish. And we feel very small. Well, this is really part of pardon the pun, a big part of our country's space history, isn't it?
Yes, it is. A lot of what we know about our solar system wouldn't have been possible without the dishes of the Deep Space Network collecting all that scientific information and bringing it back to us here on Earth.
And they sit out here like lonely sentinels in the desert, really unseen by most of us most of the time, but they've been here for over 4 decades now, and I guess they're going to continue to be here for decades to come doing the work they do.
That's right. As long as there's a need to gather this information, and as far as we can see that need is continuing, we'll be here 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We're tracking.
Well, we came to the desert in search of big things. First, we visited those big windmills. Then we went to the big pit and rode on the big truck. We walked in a big dish, and we ended up standing in front of a really big dish. All of these wonderful examples of big things in the desert. All of these fine examples of California's gold. Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.